Sunday day, it's Sunday gonna be. On Sunday, it's the VFA. It's Sunday, you're gonna make your play for the VFA. Today you're gonna fly. It's Sunday for the VFA. It's Sunday, yes Sunday. It's Sunday for the VFA. It's Sunday, yes Sunday. It's Sunday for the VFA.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the VFA Grand Final for 1982 between Preston and Port Melbourne, being played here at the Junction Oval. And what a grand final it promises to be. A tremendous crowd on looking around the ground. We've just had a great deal of excitement in the seconds final, in which Sandringham 18-10 defeated Preston, a total of 12-15. Well, we have with us the president of the VFA, Mr. Alan Wicks. And Alan, no doubt you'd be pretty excited about the roll-up here today.
It's a wonderful atmosphere, isn't it, Phil? And I think we're in for a great day.
Very colourful crowd, Alan, and I think the way the VFA have operated this year deserves congratulations.
We aim to present a festival of final football, and I think we've just done that.
Well, Alan, where do you see the future of the VFA?
Well, I think, Phil, that the VFA will ultimately become the pinnacle for all senior clubs in Victoria to aim for. Obviously, the VFL will head in a direction maybe interstate, maybe international, who knows. But the VFA is a truly Victorian competition, and we see ourselves as being a pinnacle for clubs to aim for with Victoria.
Alan, it was interesting to see Dr. Aylett at the luncheon today with Jack Hamilton, the Premier and the Leader of the Opposition.
We were very thrilled with the roll-up of people that we had, and particularly the Leader of the Opposition and the Premier. But I think it was great for football that Dr. Aylett and Jack Hamilton were here.
Well, Alan, it's been great being associated with you over the finals. Congratulations, all the best for today's grand final.
Thank you very much, Phil.
Thank you. And now let's go over to the dressing rooms, and first of all, we'll take you into Preston with Rob Asprey and Ray Shaw.
Thank you very much, Phil Gibbs, and a very good afternoon to our viewers at home. Well, after a very distinguished career with the Collingwood Football Club, Ray Shaw returned to Preston this year, and a magnificent performance to get the boys into the grand final. But of course, you're playing last year's premiers. There must be a lot of incentive to beat them.
Sure, Rob. We've been talking about it all week. They beat us by 15 goals last year in the grand final, and I don't believe the players put in after half-time. I had to talk to a few of the players, and they said they gave up, and that's not the right attitude to do in a grand final. But it is a completely different side this year. We've got probably 9 or 10 new players in the side, so the Preston side from last year to this year is completely different.
Ray, the fact that you're starting favourites, any chance of a little bit of complacency there?
No, it doesn't really worry me about being favourites or being the underdogs. It's Port against Preston, 18 against 18, and the best side today is going to win the game.
Ray Shaw, on behalf of your many Collingwood fans, and you have a lot of them, there's no doubt about that, right throughout Victoria, which this telecast is going today, and also on behalf of your many Preston fans who are watching today, would like to wish you all the very best, and again, congratulations on making the grand final.
Thank you very much, Rob, and to all those well wishes, thank you very much.
Great, Ray Shaw. Well, that's the latest from the Preston rooms, and after this break, we'll be going across, and we'll have the latest from the opponents' rooms, Port Melbourne. Welcome back to our live coverage of the 1982 VFA Grand Final. At this stage, I would like to say what a real pleasure it is for me to be associated with this telecast and this Festival of Finals. I must admit I was somewhat reluctant, apprehensive before we went into the final series. Well, I can now say, and I don't mind admitting, I was wrong. And if some of you viewers at home agree with me after today's game that you've enjoyed the telecast, well, may I suggest that you write to me at Channel 10, and I'll certainly pass those letters on to the VFA, and maybe next year when the rights are being negotiated, that will be some support. Well, Gary, congratulations on making the grand final.
Thanks, Rob. But that's only one part of the job. We've got to win it now. It's no good being here and not performing well.
Right. Well, now, any worries about today's game as regards playing the favourites?
Well, the players know full well what that means. You know, they've proven through the home and home games that they're the best side in the competition. But that doesn't mean that they're the best final side in the competition. They have yet to prove that. And in order to prove that, they have to beat us. And I think that they'll find that quite a difficulty.
Right, well, of course, you are experienced as regards grand finals. That must be a big help.
Well, I think so. Everyone keeps saying finals games are different to home and home games, and it's so true. The pressures are immense, and the players have to come through that for, you know, the whole 4 weeks of the final series, and it's even doubled by the time you get to the grand final. We've proven that we can sustain our playing form under those conditions, but Preston really haven't produced the goods yet. They've only won one. We've won 2 finals so far.
Well, once again, Gary, thanks very much for being with us. As I said only moments ago, and you heard my remarks, I think it's been fantastic, the fact that the VFA finals have been telecast, and I do hope that a Melbourne television station, hopefully Channel 10, take up the challenge and telecast the finals again next year and maybe even the whole season.
Well, I hope that that's possible, Rob, because I think that the VFA certainly needs live telecasts. If the whole season could be done again, I think it would be great, but certainly it's really made a great lot of enthusiasm for the final series this year, which may not have been there otherwise.
Well, as I said, if people at home enjoy today's telecast and looking through the list of players here, gee whiz, there's some talent there on both sides. If they write to me, I'll certainly pass the letters on to the VFA.
Well, I think as we get as much support in that regard as possible, maybe then with a groundswell of support, we will have television next year, and I think we need it.
Thanks very much, Gary Bryce. All the very best for today's game on behalf of your many fans, former South Melbourne and now Port Melbourne fans. I think most of the Port Melbourne fans will be here today.
They're here today, yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks very much, Gary Bryce. Well, now it's time to introduce the sports director of Channel 10, Phil Gibbs, up in the commentary box.
Right, thank you very much, Rob, and what a tremendous atmosphere it's been down here while the interviews have been on. You've seen some of the shots coming up with the marching girls, the Moomba band. We had the parachutists come in, and also introduced today was the J Field winner Mark Williams and the 1982 JJ Liston Trophy winner Jeff Austin, who did a preliminary circuit of the ground. A great atmosphere, a big crowd for the VFA Grand Final for 1982 between Preston and Port Melbourne. And before we introduce more and give you the team changes, let's take this break. Well, both teams have broken up, and the umpires for today. Field umpire is Frank Vagona, 10 years with the VFA, and Keith Hogston, 7 years with the VFA. The boundary umpires, Glenn McBurney, 3 years, and Alan Radford, 5 years. The goal umpires, Brian Jones and Bob Hogan, and the board representative, Stan Winter. And now let's introduce our co-commentators for the afternoon, Rex Hunt and Harold Martin, as we have the toss about to take place. Welcome, Rex.
Yes, welcome, Phil, and thank you very much for the introduction. What a fantastic sight it is today. It's going to be a great game, and not as one-sided as I think a lot of people believe.
Well, I don't think it will be, and Harold Martin down here, you participated last week, but a big crowd here today, Harold.
Yes, a big crowd, Phil. I agree with Rex. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Preston's got too much all-round ability and have proved that during the year, but Port Melbourne's final, his experience will keep them in good stead.
Well, Gary Bryce is moving over, getting ready for the toss, and we're waiting on He's won the toss, has he?
Yes, Phil. Port Melbourne won the toss and are kicking to the city or lake end with the slight breeze.
I was that busy looking at Harold there, the charming looks he's got up here, that we didn't see it happening down there.
Well, Phil,
Rob.
with everything going on, it really is fantastic. I'd say one of the most impressive openings to a sports event that I've ever seen.
Yes,
Do you agree with that?
they've done it very, very well, the VFA. Now, let's have a look at the teams as selected on Thursday night. First of all, we have coming up the Preston side. Dear Rex Hunt, changes.
Yes, there's definitely two changes in the Preston side. You'll find that Greg Marshall, number 29, won't take his place in the side. And number 13, Carla Van, who was apparently injured during the week, will take that place. And also into the side is number 17, McKeon, taking the place of number 40, Glenn Meredith. So they're the two that we've picked up. And also the emergencies in Peter Bartlett, number 22, and number 12 in Greg Fremantle will pull out of the side.
Right, let's look now at the Port Melbourne side. Over to you, Harold Martin.
Well, it looks like Andy Demetriou's taken the place of Peter Badbury, Phil, and I think Demetriou could be used to unsettle Austin. I think that'd be the reasoning behind that.
Right, Harold Martin, your selection.
I've gone for Preston, Phil.
Rex?
I'm going for Port Melbourne.
And I'm going for Port Melbourne. You gave me a heck of a shock there. I thought you'd be going for Preston. Rob?
Well, I'd have to go for Preston too, Phil.
And Ian Gibbs down here. Ian?
Well, Port have won 5 out of the last VFA Grand Finals. I suggest Port might do it today. As has been said, Preston are outright favourites in today's Grand Final. Preston have had a far more successful season than the opposition, Preston being beaten only twice this season, those teams being Camberwell and Coburg. Both occasions Port and Preston have played this season. Preston have revenged last year's premiership defeat. The first round they defeated Port Melbourne by 29 points, and in the second round they defeated them by 72. Although, as we are aware, Port Melbourne are final specialists, proving this by winning 5 out of the last 8 VFA finals.
Right, we're just waiting now. Chad Band, I notice there, will go in the first ruck today against Jeff Austin, the 82 Liston Trophy winner. The bounce came out towards Chad Band, but Swan is the player to get the tap out. Ray Shaw goes down to the ground, but the free kick will be given here to Kavanagh. So Kavanagh of Port Melbourne up towards the half-forward line. Racing across there is Bryan. And Bryan takes the mark on the half-back line, plays it to the wing on the outer side of the ground, and McCann is the player to move in and take it from the outer side. McCann now with a good crowd in the background towards the half-forward line. Carla Van is out there, number 13, racing in after the ball with Wilkinson behind him, but it's gone pretty close to the boundary. It hasn't gone over. Ray Shaw looks as though he's the player under the pack. Umpire Vergona blowing the whistle, and out of it comes Shaw with the free kick. He's right under the pack there and in a bit of trouble, but he passes up towards that half-forward line, and McCann is the player who rolled into that mark on the left half-forward flank. He has a lead across that full forward, looking for Hallis. Hallis gets his hands to it, and here he comes around the boundary. Hallis lines them up from a very acute angle, and the goal umpire indicating that it could be a behind, but the umpire going down, and he's saying it will be another kick. Rex Hunt.
Yes, he definitely interfered with after he disposed of the ball there, Phil, and Frank Vergona right on the spot, and a good decision.
Well, Harold, we expected a bit of fireworks at the start. It hasn't happened yet.
Oh, give them a bit of time, Phil.
Well, it happened last week, didn't it?
Oh, they're finals.
Right. All right, Hallis now. The top full forward for Preston, coming out as he moves in to try and shoot for goal. And the goal umpire moving near the behind post, and it's indicated. So there will be a throw-in. No score as yet. In the seconds final today, Preston 12-15 were defeated by Sandringham 18-10. And immediately on that, it's a behind the first score of the match to Preston, and that was 2 minutes after commencement of play. They're just waiting on the kick-off by Hall. And it moves out towards Chad Band, racing in for it there, but Evans is the player to beat him to it, his teammate. It comes back in the direction of Demetriou. Demetriou up towards the wing on the outer side of the ground. Towan is the player coming right downfield for Preston. He plays it towards that half-forward line. It misses Demetriou, and it's Carla Van who moves in on the ball. He's having a lot of trouble trying to handle it, and immediately Kavanagh comes in for Port Melbourne. Kavanagh now round the players up towards the half-forward line. Going up with one hand was Mick Warren. Anderson was the player to come in. but Bryan is the player to gain possession now. He plays it into the centre, and that's Kelly taking the mark, the boy from the country. Kelly passes it through this time to McKeon. McKeon now left foots it out towards the wing, looking for Austin, and he doesn't disappoint him. So Austin from the outer wing. He gets the hand pass into Shaw, who called for it, running past, short of the half-forward line. And there's the mark out on the left half-forward flank by Cowan, who's right up on that forward zone. Shoots the goal, and the big score on the board. So Preston 1-1, Port Melbourne have yet to score. Well, there's Gary Price yelling out instructions to the players, but going over now to Harold Martin. What do you think of the opening here, Harold?
Oh, it was a good opening, Phil, but it was great play by Gordon Town, then coming right down from centre half back. He's playing on Doyle and not on Cook, and it was a great opening for Preston so far.
All right, umpire Keith Oxton now with that bounce. He's bounced it the other way this time, and it's tapped away by Wilkinson down into the hands of Berry. Berry now getting it towards Shaw, who's playing a top game so far. He turns quickly, got it around the neck, I think, and that was Berry. And Berry will get the free kick. He copped that as he was running through there. So Berry now with the kick towards centre half forward. They're doing most of the attacking. It goes down straight into the hands this time of McCann. McCann shoots for goal offline and through for the behind. So that means Preston go to 1-2 and Port Melbourne have yet to score. They look as though they're getting the jump a bit on Port Melbourne, Rex.
Yes, Port have got the age of this breeze, and I'm not saying it's great. It's 2 or 3 goals, but Port need a score very shortly.
Here's Hall playing at full back, taking the kick-off out towards Chadband. Chadband, marked the ball, but put it straight into the hands of Austin, who scooped it away. Scouting around the pack is Billy Swan. They need him firing from the centre, but they'll have him tagged, Preston, as it goes out towards the half-back line and over the line. You had him pretty well tagged last week.
Swan, yes, Phil, but Mark McKeon does a very good job on Swan. He's beaten him during the year, and Bryan's doing the same thing to Anderson.
Right, that was Chadband getting the knockout from the ruck, and now it's kicked up towards the centre half-forward position. Tapped down, and let's see who can get away with the ball. The little fellow in there was Olsen. He's not all that little, but Berry goes down to the ground, tapped away by Rodder. He was the player I was looking for earlier. And there's Chadband across this time to Tansis. Tansis to Wilkinson. Wilkinson now up towards Anderson. Anderson going downfield towards Cook. Up goes Cook with his hands in the air to indicate it's full points on the board for the Burrows. So Port Melbourne 1 goal and Preston have scored 1 goal too. Let's have a look at this again. Harold Martin.
Yes, it was good teamwork, Phil. They drew a fella out and then it left Anderson by himself, and it's very dangerous when that situation comes up.
All right, now just waiting on this bounce to take place again. She's a fast and furious opening at the moment as we come up towards the 6-minute mark in the first quarter. Umpire Ogston in control. And Ruckman setting themselves, and it's the big fellow, Chadband, getting the knockout over Austin. Comes to Rodder. Rodder downfield. Here's Cook out, and Cook jackknifed into the ball to take a strong mark 25 metres out. Well, he's moving this week, Rex. We criticised him a bit early in the game last week for staying in the goal square.
Yes, look at him lining up against number 10, Plowman. Cook obviously has a height advantage, and if he's leading today, this could be what the Borough want. Fred Cook in full flight.
All right, kicking towards the lake end. Here's Cook. Oh, bad kick. Well, that takes Port Melbourne on to 1-1 with Preston on 1-2. He seemed to pull the leg a bit there, Harold.
Yeah, he did, Phil. Yeah, it was one of my kicks, I think. I normally kick like that.
He didn't kick through it at all, Harold, and that's why he didn't go through the goals, as the ball is brought back into play, and Austin knocked it down, but here's Kavanagh. Kavanagh's on the left boot, but he's offline, and the penalty free kick will be taken by Plowman. Andrew Plowman, number 10 for the Preston side, lined up on Fred Cook, and has had a bonus because Cook has lost one chance, and he's looking for Austin, and Austin doesn't let him down. Up in front of Chadband and taking a fine mark is the 1982 Liston Trophy winner. Jeff Austin, the former Fitzroy and Collingwood player, comes to the wing position. He'll be looking over there for Dale McCann. McCann's interfered with by Robinson. Dale McCann can take the free kick. Preston looking pretty good at this stage, coming up to 7 minutes into this vital first term in the VFA Grand Final. The ball punched away by Dermott. It comes down to Wilkinson. Wilkinson on the left boot is offline because he was looking for Kavanagh, but coming in and taking the mark is Dale McCann. He'll be looking in towards centre half forward to Carla Van. He doesn't let him down. Here comes Swan. I thought he was interfered with there, but Swan can run around now and kick the ball in towards the centre of the ground. Mick Warren's there. The big punch came from Town, and Chad Van tapped it nicely into the direction of Glenn Evans, and Evans has got the break, but he's well tackled, and here's what Port Melbourne need, but the hand pass was poor. Warren is the player tapping it on there, but Anderson's the one going in, and he's a danger player that they want firing. On the left boot, looking for Doyle, a scrimmage of players. The hand pass comes out towards Jeff Austin, and Jeff Austin can relieve the play for the Preston side. Coming in there nicely is Olsen is looking in the direction there of Kelly, and finally is picked up by Rodder, driven down towards full forward, looking for Kavanagh, who I thought may have been interfered with, but Plowman takes the pressure off the Preston defence and gets it to Ray Shaw, and Preston are off.
Yes, this is McKeon coming downfield from the centre of the ground towards centre half forward. They move in on the ball, and this is Hall gaining possession. Hall into the centre, and the little fellow takes the mark of Bayer. Now Bayer steadying. Gee, the pace has been fast here in the first 8 minutes of play. Bayer with his kick from the centre towards centre forward, up they fly. Anderson had the chance there, but he took a thump at the ball. Cook is in there, brought down to the ground, pick up by Wilkinson, who bangs it out of the pack, and moving in this time is Kavanagh. Now Kavanagh couldn't quite get to it before it goes over the line. Well, I just hear Harold Martin saying Preston are not getting it their own way. Port are lifting for the final.
They are. They're putting a lot of pressure on Phil.
Right, Wilkinson now moves in, puts it off line, and it'll be through for the one behind to make the scores level. Both sides on 1-2, a total of 8 points. Yes, you can never underestimate the Port Melbourne side when they come here in a final, and I think that's why both Rex and myself have selected them today, because of knowing what they can do in a final. Okay, this is Tansas moving in now. He's gone for the long kick, and look at that! A beautiful goal to Port Melbourne. Right on the bounce, there's Rodder in possession, Rob Asbury.
Yes, a thrilling opening as Swan goes forward, down into the scoring zone. Fred Cook goes back, but it's through for one behind. Port Melbourne moving on to 2 goals, 3-15, taking the lead at the 10.5-minute mark of the first quarter. The 1982 VFA Grand Final here at the Junction Oval. Directing play to the grandstand side. Austin is there, bit of a shove too, and I think he'll get the free kick. Chad Van over the shoulder of the 1982 J.J. Liston medal winner. On the right half-back flank position, sets the ball up. Players setting themselves, and from behind is McCann. He immediately played on, but that was a mistake. Now it's grabbed there for the Preston player, Kelly, and the umpire says you are holding the ball, and Port Melbourne will go into attack through Robertson. From the wing position, a big punt kick right down to the left half-forward flank. Doyle is there, went up half-hearted on that occasion, but fortunately waiting behind was Kavanagh. So Brendan Kavanagh, about 50 metres out from goal. Maybe not that far, certainly not. Oh, hit the post, hit the very top of the goal post, and that will be registered as one behind for Port Melbourne. Port Melbourne, 2 goals, 4-16. Preston, 1 goal, 2-8. Port Melbourne won the toss and elected to kick to the lake end with the slight wind advantage. The big men go up, and coming down with the ball there was Russell Olsen, the former Maryborough player, came from Maryborough to Carlton, then to Collingwood, and of course through Channel 8 in Bendigo. They're watching our telecast today. Over the line and out of bounds. Yes, Channel 8, Phil, through Gippsland, Swan Hill, and also through Bendigo. So a big telecast, a big audience, live audience right throughout Victoria. Moving in, grabbing the ball is the Preston player, caught with it there, says the umpire, couldn't get rid of it in fact. And, well, no, he's going to pay it to a Bayer. I thought he was going to call for it, Keith Ogston, but he's going to give it to Tony Abayer. Din Tinasante is the player on the mark. I've practiced his name this week, I can tell you that. Into the left half forward flank, and Doyle goes up, takes a good strong mark. Well, Shane Doyle, the former thirds player for Port Melbourne, who has taken on the responsibility of a key forward. And look at those strong hands going up. Plenty of determination in that one. So I'd say about maybe 40 metres out. It's maybe not that far even, 35. Yeah, more like 35. Oh, awkward looking kick in the right direction. Oh, up they go, and a mark to Warren. Ray Warren in the last line of defence. Short pass, Din Tinasante in the right back pocket position. Preston in a little bit of trouble at the moment after a great opening to the game. Austin, a beautiful overhead mark right on the wing position. That's Chad Band on the mark. There's the kick. Across the VFA sign, up the big men fly. No one can take the ball. Picked up by Demetrio, a late inclusion on the side, right into the centre of the ground. Rodder is in the front berth, knocked away by Olsen. No one getting the advantage. Tapped across, gives the chance now for Evans to come through. Did that beautifully too. Beautiful bounce into Fred Cook, over the top of the pack and through for one behind. That takes the scoreboard here to Port Melbourne, 2 goals 4, 16. Preston 1 goal 2, 8, and we've now played 13.5 minutes in the first quarter.
Okay, Rob, and the kick-off now about to be taken, comes out towards the half-back line on the main stand side of the ground. Austin taps it down to the ground, tapped on a little bit further by Chad Band, and the little fellow Bayer moves into it, but eventually he's forced to go for the hand pass. It ends up with Swan. Swan on the half-forward line plays it back up ground to Wilkinson, and Wilkinson takes it. Now Wilkinson, with Cook making a very early lead, has decided to go for the long shot, but he hooks the kick as well, and it'll go through for another behind to Port Melbourne, taking them to 2 goals 6, 18, as against Preston's 1, 2, 8, and that was his second behind, Wilkinson.
Gee, they're really firing away as hard as they can, Phil, but they've missed some really sitter goals, as the crowd like to call them.
I think it's over-anxiousness, Rex, isn't it?
Yes, possibly at this stage.
Right, well, there it goes, out towards the half-back line. Moving in towards the ball is Olsen. Olsen trapping it well on the half-back line on the outer side of the ground. His kick now, round the wing, and let's see what happens here. And moving in there is Brian. Chad Band moved into it as well, but the umpire blows the whistle after that one. And the free kick will be taken by Rodder against McCann. So Rodder now swings the play on the opposite side of the ground, looking for Chad Band, but he gets it away from Austin, but the run of the ball to Carla Van now. Van from centre half forward, passes it out well wide. There's Olsen moving in, steadies, on its way, a goal. Well, Ian just tells me marking is 14-6 Preston's way. They've got a lot of the control of the ball. He was grabbed high. Kelly. Well, what would you fellas have done there?
Oh, the fella went in for the ball there, Phil. I think Ogston was very harsh on the Preston side then.
Righto, and coming downfield is Shaw. Shaw passes out wide to Berry. Berry now has the chance to get rid of it. He does just that, but straight up in the air to no one in particular. Doyle now. Doyle is tackled very solidly, can't get rid of the ball, and it will be a ball up. Field umpire Ogston in there, with Port Melbourne 2-6 leading Preston 2-2. There she goes, and the ruckman Chad Band is playing the best I've seen him in 4 matches I've seen him participate in, and the kick comes up here towards Warren, who accepts the pass. Warren coming around the wing, plays it onto that half-forward line. Look at the players settling underneath it there, and it'll be McCann to take the mark. He shoots for goal, high in the air, and Hall, well, I don't know whether he should have done that. He had the chance to mark it. Rex is shaking their head a bit, but he was in position to mark that, Rex.
Well, if he was in position to punch it through, Phil, he was in the position to grab the ball. Just a little bit of lack of confidence on Peter Hall's part. Olsen's got the ball over towards Carla Fan, and Carla Fan's under plenty of pressure there from Greg Dermott. Umpire Bergona calling play on. Ball's over the boundary line and out of bounds. Yes, Foxing for the free kick. There's no doubt about that as the ball is back into play. Chad Band behind once again, tried to get the knockout. It came down to Russell Olsen. He was looking for Bryan, but Bergona's picked up a kick down. It'll go to Russell Olsen, and it's going to be against Dermott. Chadban in there remonstrating with Olsen. And umpire Frank Bergana has sorted it out, and it's going to go to Russell Olsen. 2 goals, 6-18 Port Melbourne, leading Preston 2-3-15. Port Melbourne kicking with the aid of a slight breeze. Russell Olsen coming in, centering the ball. He'll be looking down there for Hallis. The ball was punched away finally there by Davies. Comes in towards Ray Shaw, and he's kicked it poorly. This allows, looks like McCann to go up, but the ball was punched away, and here's Wilkinson. Wilkinson sees Kavanagh on his own, and Kavanagh goes wide looking for Doyle. Doyle's in front, and this is where they've all got to be, and he actually tries to sprint away from Towan. He's going to be tackled there by Austin, but finally gets the ball to the applaudance of the Borough supporters. Plowman overruns the ball. Cook sees a Bayer on his own. Great play, Cook, but great tackle, and it was great defensive play by Preston. Great defensive play by Preston there, allowing that behind. And that was fierce and fearless play by the Preston defence. They saw the occasion there to rush that behind. So Preston move on to 2-3-15 and Port at 2-7-19. There's a kick out towards McCann and McKeon. Is it McKeon on the far side of the ground, and McKeon at half-back goes towards the centre of the wing looking for Austin. Austin taps it away, but there's a scrimmage of players. Chadban in there also as the big fellow, but umpire Austin will come in and bounce the ball on the outer wing position. And we've gone coming up to 19 minutes into this vital first term of the VFA Grand Final, brought to you on Channel 10. Umpire Keith Ogston earned his place in the Grand Final today, bounces it. It came out to Ray Shaw, who was tackled. Play on is the call, and finally umpire Ogston said it was tackled too high by Chadban, and the captain coach of Preston, Ray Shaw, can take the kick on the wing position.
Right, Shaw coming in from that outer area, places it up towards the half-forward line. A pack of players wait under the ball, and moving in to take it is Darryl McGaw. Now McGaw from the left half-forward flank has an early lead down here from Hallis. He's coming out towards that centre half-forward zone, punched away by Davies. There's Hall bearing in on the ball. There's a trip in front of the umpire, Berry, but players allowed to continue. Rodder scoops it back. Wilkinson is the player. Did that beautifully. Gets it out to Hall. Hall now went for the hand pass. He's decided now to Robertson. And Robertson from the centre of the ground, streaming downfield, up to Cook. Cook waiting for the ball to get to him, but it's gone through for one behind. Take Port Melbourne on to 2 goals 8 with Preston on 2 goals 3. 5 points the difference in Port Melbourne's favour at the 20-minute mark into the first quarter. Well, now, just waiting on the kick-off. Now, Plowman taking the kick-off out towards Berry and also Austin. Austin went up, failed to take the mark. Moving in is Kavanagh. Kavanagh high in the air towards Plowman, and Plowman comes in to take it in defence. Plowman of the Bullants. Preston defending strongly at the moment. As Plowman puts it out towards Austin. Chadban coming in from behind, punches it away from Austin, being pushed around in the air. Eventually Warren got it. He plays it out wide. And now it's Warrender coming in to, coming in to play it up towards the half-forward line. And moving in here is Dermott. Dermott now with the left foot towards centre half-forward. But Ray Shaw, who's all over the field, comes in to take the mark in defence for Preston. Shaw bangs it into the centre. Olsen is the player to accept the pass. Olsen, a left footer, sends it up towards that half-forward line, but Demetrio comes in. Demetrio now with the kick towards centre half-forward. Anderson traps it. He'll get away, and Anderson swings it up towards Cook. Cook giving his opponent a shove in the back, Plowman. But the umpires call play on, and Plowman now races across the front of the goal square. There's Cook. Looked as though he's about to strangle his opponent, as we saw Chadban. He had him right by the throat. Chadban comes in and takes the mark. All right, Chadban now from centre half forward. Gets the kick on its way. It's offline, deep into the right forward pocket position. No one able to take the mark off the hands of the pack, and the throw-in will be effective. Port Melbourne at 2-8-20, leading Preston 2-3, a total of 15. Rob.
Yes, a great battle down there between Fred Cook and also Plowman. There's the throw-in now, and it's knocked down by Austin. Doyle is there. He's on top of the ball now. Can't get rid of it. Frantically punching, and the umpire will call for it. Umpire Ogden. It's in the right forward pocket position for Port Melbourne, kicking to the left of your screen. There's the bounce. Austin is there. Doyle in front of him. Austin gets it knocked down. No one can take advantage of the knock. Ball on the ground underneath Bucks. And again, umpire Ogden will call for it. Checking the scoreboard, Port Melbourne, 2 goals, 8:20. Preston, 2 goals, 3:15. And as you can see, we've played 22.5 minutes into the first quarter. Very close to the boundary line. Players going in hard. Wilkinson now in towards goal. It's going to be close. It's a goal to Port Melbourne. 'From the bounce, and it's Preston going forward again. Fast, furious football here, exciting football, the 1982 VFA Grand Final. And now the ball into Tinasante, who lines up the goals and makes no mistake about it. That's the answer for the Bull Ants. .5 points, the difference in this game here at the Junction Oval. Doyle for Port Melbourne, kicks it high, going to the full forward position. Fred Cook is there, gets in front, but he's got 2 opponents on him. Abaya now, can he do? Oh, he's overrun there. And the umpire saw it too. And Abaya will get the kick. Right in front of goal. About 20 metres in front of the big sticks. Only a minute to go before we move into time on. Tony Abaya kicked 71 goals from 49 games. Certainly a courageous little rover. There's the kick, right through the middle, a goal.
Well, Rex has made umpire Vagona. Comes in with the bounce. It's a knockout by Austin. He's tapped it for the second time. Bearing in on it is Kelly. Kelly now got interfered with, and he gets the free kick. That was against Kavanagh. Passes back here to McCann. He sends it up towards the half-forward line, and there's Russell Davies moving in. Davies got a trip. And a shove, so there'll be a 15-metre penalty against Olsen. So Davies shoves Olsen back, and he'll go back on the mark on the half-back line here. So Russell Davies with his kick up towards the half-forward line. By gee, they've got some experience in this side in finals, Port Melbourne. Over the top of it they go. Umpire Vagona went to blow the whistle, decide to call play on. Berry overruns the ball, comes out to Doyle, and Doyle with a hand pass to Abaya. Abaya with a short pass to Cook, making the lead, and Cook pulls in the mark. Well, he must have heard us last week, I reckon, Rex.
No doubt about that. He'd have this tape. Don't worry about that. He'd have that on tape, and he'd go home and say, those rotters, I'm going to show them today.
Well, he's leading well, and with 2 good leads he's made, he's been able to take the mark. Let's see if he can capitalise on it with a goal. The goal umpire watched it closely, but 1 behind. So Port Melbourne go to 4-9, and Preston on 3-3. Going over to Harold Martin, it's certainly a surprise to a lot of people to see the way Port Melbourne have lifted here, Harold.
Oh, they lifted last week, Phil. I think they indicated that in the last quarter last week, but don't forget they're kicking with a win, and they still need a couple of goals to be in a stronger position.
Well, I said Ray Shaw's been playing all over the field. He's even had a go at kicking off from full back. And this is Evans out on the half-forward line now, has possession. Evans of Port Melbourne. Those streamers must have been worrying him a bit for him to do that, so he comes in from the right half-forward flank. It's quite a wind, as you can see with that paper going down the ground. It's right behind him, well on its way, and if it's not touched, it'll be a goal. It is a goal. So Port Melbourne now move further ahead. They go to 5-9, and Preston 3-3. Well, you can see this coming in from behind. He's deliberate here, Harold.
Yes, he's kicked it right through the middle, and he kicked right through the ball too, Phil. He didn't jab at it like Fred did earlier.
You don't feel like changing your mind on your selection?
No, I'll stick with Preston. I still think they'll win by 4 or 5 goals.
Do you feel like changing your mind, Rob?
Well, I tell you what, Phil, I'm very surprised. It's one of the most exciting openings to a game you could ever wish to see.
This isn't Canberra. Answer the question.
No, I'll stick with Preston.
Righto, and it goes down towards the forward line and tapped over the line and out of bounds by Bucks. Ian?
I selected Port Melbourne at the beginning. I'll stick with them.
Right. And both Rex and myself for Port, so you're outvoted, though. A lot of you up here. All right. Waiting for it to come back in. And it's Austin tapping it down, but he gets the free. He was held. That's against Chadban. Now there's Austin's kick. On towards the wing, stand side. Carla Van goes up, punched away here by Dermott. And it'll be Carla Van who has interfered with to McCann. Is it McCann to get the free? Van, it was went up in the middle of the pack, but there must have been interference to McCann behind there. So McCann now towards the half-forward line, knocked away by Tansis, comes through towards Kavanagh. He punches it down. There's Carla Van moving in now. Billy Swan came in to try and gain possession. Rodder's got it now. Swan over the top. Swan dribbles it out, and there's Rodder coming into it again. He put it straight back. No, the umpire blew the whistle after a throw, but McCann now has called a play on. He swings it across towards the left forward pocket, and moving in is Demetrio. Demetrio gets the ball well to the half-back line, with Greg Dermott going after it, and Swan, but Swan is the player to come in. Dermott let him go in for it, and Swan puts it up to that half-forward line. Doyle goes up, taps it off the hands, and over the line and out. And so Port Melbourne are 5-9, leading Preston 3-3, Rex Hunt.
Right, the ball's out of bounds and waiting for it to come back in, coming up to 29 minutes into this first term. Port Melbourne kicking with the aid of a 2 or 3 goal breeze. This time it's Chadban versus Austin. Chadban works his way in front and gets the ball down, but it came down to Mick Warren, and Warren kicked it in towards the centre of the ground, looking for McCann, but coming in nicely for Port Melbourne there looked like Kavanagh, was it? Davies it is. Davies has been pushed in the back by Russell Olsen, according to Frank Bergona. And Davies can take the free kick and kick it down there, looking for Fred Cook, who's behind. There's an armada of Preston players there. Down to Abaya, who's foxing for a free kick, but Austin picked it up and gave it across to Mick Warren. And Warren kicks it out towards the wing position, but here's Robertson. Robertson had a great final series, spears the hand pass in the direction of Russell Davies. Davies in towards Doyle at centre-half forward, and he's under pressure by Bucks, and he's interfered with, said umpire Ronskin. I had to agree with that one there. Doyle not in possession and interfered with by the Preston player there, and Doyle can now look to kick the ball in towards the forward zone. It's not a particularly good kick because Cook's worked his way in front, but the ball punched away by Plowman into the hands of Bryan and then to Warren, and on further in towards Ray Shaw. He slips over, but he has time to get it towards Mick Warren. Warren is, great tackle there by Rodder, but finally it ended up with McKeon, and there's the siren for quarter time in this VFA Grand Final, with Port Melbourne 5-9-39, leading Preston 3-3-21.
Yes, a good lead to Port Melbourne on the first change. We'll be back for a summary after this break. Yeah, great, good opening. Yeah. I think he's done it today. He's decided to lead again, something that had escaped him over the other matches.
No doubt about that. And the only thing that he has to concentrate now is to kick through the ball. And as we explained during the whole final series, you've got to kick through the ball to get it through the goals.
And, of course, the Preston boys have asked me to say hello to Mrs. Mary Robertson. She's probably their oldest supporter at 94 years of age yesterday there. Watching today's match with keen interest there, Rob. And the boys, obviously, I'd say, would give you a thought, Mary Robertson, on the way through. Right, they've lined up, and we're about to get underway for the second quarter. And this is the vital one. Quite often you talk about the third being the vital. Let's see if Preston now can take advantage of that strong breeze that's coming down the ground. Umpire Oxton, and there we go. Austin and Chadban meet. It's Austin getting the knockout from the ruck. Shaw tried to bear in on the ball, couldn't do so. Coming through is Darryl McGaw. McGaw puts Preston into attack, but here's Russell Davies coming up to meet it. He has the kick smothered by Carla Van, who shoots up in the direction of goal, but Hall backing up nicely in that last line of defence. Hand passes out well wide. And it's Carla Van who's lifting his game, coming in, shooting for goal, but it's offline and through for the behind. So Preston go to 3-4-22 and Port Melbourne remain at 5-9-39. We've been playing 35 seconds into that second term. Paul waiting for the ball to be returned for the kick-off from the lake end of the ground. And Preston appear, even at this stage, that they'll be applying a lot of pressure in the second term. Paul now with a lead by Chad Band, loping right across to the Moreton Pavilion. Gets in the middle of the pack, up he goes and taps it wide. And this allows Shaw to come in. Shaw goes for the hand pass across to McKeon, who's high in the air with it. It's punched away from Austin, and again we'll see a throw in. Preston holding the ball on the forward line. They're 3-4, trailing Port Melbourne 5-9. And there's Austin getting a clear knockout from the ruck. Comes through to Dintinisante. He, under pressure, goes for the hand pass, but forces it out of bounds. When you see the crowd packed into that wooden stand at the lake end, you know, there's a good crowd around the ground here at the Junction Oval. And here we go. Austin again getting in front, getting the knockout back over his head. Coming through is McGaw. McGaw with a long hand pass, and Harris puts it through. They're a bit loose then in watching their men, Harold.
Yes, but they moved the ball so quickly. Handball opened it right up. Hall had to come out and, of course, left Hallis by himself. He couldn't do much about it then.
Yes, I suppose when a player comes out like that, he's caught no man's land, isn't he? He doesn't have to keep going or go back.
That's correct.
All right, well, we'll await the bounce as we see it all happen again. And there it is looking from the other end. Very easy then for Hallis to come in and put it through. So Preston a 4-4 with Port Melbourne 5-9. Tap out, comes out to Ray Shaw, has the kick slightly smothered, goes offline towards the wing on the outer side of the ground. There's Carla Van, right behind him is Dermott. Both players struggling to gain possession, but again it will be a throw in. Well, it looks as though Preston seem to have been waiting for the second quarter to come along to get the advantage of the win, because they've had the ball on their forward line for the 3 minutes of play that has been in progress here in the second quarter. Austin gets it down, comes down to Evans, Rodder to Billy Swan, and Swan now with the right foot kick high in the air. Cook's got a clear go at it. Coming behind him there's Plowman, but Cook with a strong pair of hands, and again led out from the goal square, Rex.
Had his eyes on the ball, and watch that there. Had his eyes on the ball, and no matter what Plowman did, there was no way known that Fred was going to drop that mark.
Well, he's had 2 kicks and kicked 2 behind, so although he's leading well, he's falling down at the major end of it. But let's see what happens here. He's coming in on that 45-degree angle, and I think he's kicked it behind again. Yes, he might have put it... What's happened here is he's put it out on the full. Well, and he was only, I would say, 25 metres out from goal on a very slight angle indeed. So he's certainly not on the target today. Port Melbourne 5-9, Preston 4-4. And a good mark taken by Evans. Glenn Evans coming down into his true position on the half-forward line to take that one. Let's see if Cook can take a strong mark again. He's led out. Austin gets in front of him, punched away here by Plowman. Taken up by Kavanagh. Kavanagh shoots for goal, but under pressure, puts it over the line and out on the full. So we'll see Graham Bucks, the former Tasmanian. I think he came from Penguin over there. Penguin, and played with Fitzroy, so he knows this ground fairly well.
Wynyard.
Plays it towards the half-back line. Wynyard was the place. Austin now taps it down. There's Ray Shaw moving in. Does a blind turn. Nearly went out of bounds. The pass is back to Kelly. Kelly with a pass across here to McKeon, who is forced to put it over the line with Swan right behind him. We're at the 5-minute mark into the second quarter. Port Melbourne 5-9, Preston 4-4, Rex Hunt.
Chadburn versus Austin. Chadburn clearly won that, and Shaw came through and kicks it out of bounds on the full. The ironical cheers of the crowd. Looks like Kavanagh is going to take the kick, and Kelly will be standing the mark. Glenn Evans just giving the ball back to Kavanagh, who's on the true half-forward flank. He'll be kicking in looking for Cook. Cook shading the sun out of his eyes as the ball was punched away by Plowman. 2 players all the time on Cook as Shaw goes into the centre of the ground. In there for Port Melbourne, tapping it across nicely towards Swan. Swan to Evans is good play. He's under the hammer from, it looked like Berry over there. Finally coming through nicely is Bucks. Bucks has kicked it out towards the half-back flank. Evans is there, and the bounce misses him, but Berry, Jeff Berry, the former Footscray player, kicks it up And over there towards Din Tinasante as he comes in and hand passes it back to Russell Olsen. Olsen favours the torpedo punt and kicks it long and wide, looking for Van, and Van nearly pulled it in. But finally it's picked up by McGaw. McGaw's got the open goal and shut the gate. That's the one that they wanted, Preston. Their 5th goal. Preston leading 17 possessions at 10 in this quarter as Shaw gets the ball out of the centre and kicks to the outer side of the ground. Over there will be Van in front of Dermott. And Van kicks it around in towards the centre half forward position. Kicked off the ground by Robertson and over the boundary line and out of bounds on the full. And over there it looks like McGaw, is it? Van it is. Carla Van on his left boot going in towards the forward line. Demetrio's got the run. Sees Davies going past, but it came down towards Kelly. Kelly a hand pass into the direction of Van again, but coming through nicely is Robertson. Former Fitzroy player is playing well and sees Wilkinson on his own, and the draw is on and Doyle's on his own. He's under pressure from Towan, but he puts Wilkinson under the hammer, and umpire Magona penalises him because he dropped the ball after being tackled by Ray Shaw. Shaw sees a team player over there in Din Tinasante on his own, and Din Tinasante can go in towards the forward line looking for the big man in Hallis. He drops the ball and the ball goes into the direction of Peter Hall. Hall is looking for Dermott and he's tackled, but illegally, says the umpire. I thought that was a bit lucky. Peter Hall can relieve the pressure for the Port Melbourne side, coming up to 7 minutes into this vital second term. 5-9-39 Port Melbourne, and that includes a couple of very poor misses by Fred Cook. And they lead Preston 5-4, 34, kicking with the breeze. Hall to the outer side of the ground, looking over there in the direction of Swan. Swan has got the ball and he can run around and hand pass in the direction of Davies. Back to Swan is great play, and the draw is on once again in towards Kavanagh. Kavanagh has the ball and will go towards centre half forward, and Doyle's the target. The big punch came from Towan, and here's Chadban. Chadban in towards, it looked like Rodder, and Rodder comes along and looks for Cook. Cook's got the break on Plowman. There's plenty of pace here. Have a look at this. He's going to try and fox for a free kick. And umpire Bagona calls play on as Cook kicks a funny-looking kick right across the face of goal, looking for Wilkinson, but over the boundary line and out of bounds, coming up to 9 minutes into this second quarter.
Right, deep on the forward line for Port Melbourne. And it's 5 points the difference in Port's favour. There's Austin getting the knockout again, down towards Shaw. Shaw traps the ball, grabbed by Chadban, comes through to Bucks. Bucks now towards centre half back, moving in on it. It was Tansas who moved in on it. Comes to Dermott. Dermott back to Tansas, off the ground, and it's kicked across here, but to Evans. Evans shoots for goal offline. And it's one behind to make it 1 goal the difference. Port move on to 5-10. Preston 5 goals 4. Gee, they're inaccurate in front. That's pressure being applied to them, of course, making them kick inaccurately. Although Cook has had 2 deliberate shots, 3 deliberate shots for goal and got 3 behinds. Came out towards McKeon, who failed to take the mark. There's Shaw grabbing it away from Wilkinson. Wilkinson recovers quickly to pass it across here to Abaya. Abaya into goal, and it's through. Another goal to Port Melbourne. They go to 6-10. Preston 5-4. He got down, Abaya. He's a game little player, and he moves all over that field. Most impressive little player. Let's have a look at this as it happens again. And Ian, let's have some of those statistics while we're watching this.
Well, it's a very even quarter once again. So far, Port Melbourne have kicked 1 goal 1, Preston 2 goals 1. So statistically and score-wise, it's a very, very even game to this point.
Right, there goes the bounce, and that was Darryl McGaw in the hands of the trainers. A kick up towards centre forward. Cook tried to take 2 bites, tapped away from him by Bucks. Dermott comes in. Bucks now recovers to pick the ball up and go downfield with it. Out wide of the centre, and there's Shaw again. He's all over the field. Shaw with a further hand pass to Olsen. Olsen can't quite trap the ball, and coming in here is McCann. McCann now with his pass up towards the half-forward line, but Davies defending, comes back towards Bucks. Bucks now can't control it. Abaya gets grabbed, but it comes through to Dermott. Dermott now with his kick up towards that centre forward zone. Plowman leads in the race for the ball. Cook with a bit of strength edges him out. Look at him battle on. He scoops it off the ground to Anderson. Let's see the elusive Anderson, what he can do. He comes through, dribbles it off the ground into the hands of Mick Warren. Warren and Preston, the half-back line. Kavanagh leading in the race for the ball, makes no mistake about it. Good mark. So Kavanagh from the half-forward line, Rob.
This is his 10th kick now, driving it down towards the centre half-forward position. The players set themselves, knocked down to the ground there. Dermott takes the ball, handballs across to Abaya. Abaya gives a short pass to Anderson, and Anderson has taken it just 20 metres out from goal on the slightest of angles. He's already kicked 1 goal. Only 2 kicks the difference at the moment. You're watching the 1982 VFA Grand Final on Channel 10 and the 8 network throughout provincial Victoria.
And Bowden coming onto the ground for Preston.
Anderson now, one of the most elusive forwards in the VFA, lining them up. There's his kick. Umpire moves across and says, you've missed. 1 behind only. So that was a bad miss by Anderson. Normally, you would expect him to kick those. Anderson played 107 games, aged 29, and returned from Collingwood in 1981. Play being directed to the grandstand side of the ground. Big pack of players there, knocked over. Swan picks it up, gets it through now towards centre half forward. Bucks is there, knocking it long in front of him. Berry, Bucks again, but the umpire has found a free kick, and it'll go to Berry. Jeff Berry, the former Footscray and Richmond player. Oh, no, bad blue there by Russell Olsen. Now the chance for Evans. He's also lost it. Kavanagh, and he has lost it, and will receive the free kick against him. Bucks will take the free kick at the true centre half-back position. A punt kick going to the outer side of the ground. On the wing position. A handball across to Russell Olsen. Olsen accepts the hand pass. Kicks it now to the right forward flank position. Racing in for the ball there is Davies. He knocks it on, close to the boundary line, over the line and out of bounds.
White about to come on interchange for Preston.
We've now played 13 minutes into the second quarter. Port Melbourne 6-11-47. Preston 5-4-34. There's the throw in. The big men contesting the ball. Gets it down there. Now across to a teammate. Let's use the glasses because it's way over there on the other side of the ground. I'm having trouble picking them up. That's Ray Shaw, I think. No, Dintena Sante will take it. The glasses are in focus now, Phil. There it is, down towards the centre half forward position. Dermott going up high. Ray Shaw all by himself at the back of the pack and slams away. It's a goal to Preston. Badly needed. Well, a penalty kick there going to Austin, and Preston going into attack again. It's Davies defending, kicking the ball to the left back flank position. Leading in the race for the ball is Van. Got it now. It's Preston. Oh, gee, he loses the ball there to the smallest player on the ground. Now he's recovered. That's McKeon grabbing the ball, driving it into the full forward position. Hallis is there, knocked over the back of the pack and through for 1 behind. Ian Gibbs.
So far this quarter, Preston having a good quarter. 3 goals, 1 they've kicked. Port Melbourne, 1 goal, 2. Perhaps Port may pay for their inaccuracy later on in the game.
And there's only 1 goal the difference, 1 kick the difference in the VFA First Division Grand Final as Davies marks on the half-back flank position. There's the kick, very close to the boundary line, looking for Evans, and Evans should be paid the mark, or the free kick. I think Frank Lagona gave him the free kick. Oh, and a punch there from the crowd. That's not nice to see. Doyle leads out, he takes it. Just short of the statewide sign. Sponsors of the VFA Festival of Finals and good friends of ours. Freddie Cook now looking for the lead, but Doyle decides to kick it high. Fred Cook is there now. Coming from behind is Plowman, but Cook takes the second grab. Plown, says the umpire. Plown again, says the umpire, as White comes in. Oh, they're going in hard now. The umpire finds a kick. Looks like it's going to go to White. Temper's a little bit frayed there. This could get out of hand, but not according to Frank Lagona. He has a little chat to Evans and says, come for a walk with me. Something like 30 metres down the ground. That's White now, driving it down towards centre half forward. Oh, gee, interference there, not seen by the umpire. All's fair in love and war. Grabbed there by Bowden. Screws it back towards the goal, but the umpire blows the whistle. A couple of players down there too. Both Preston players. Umpire running down towards the goal square. There he is. And it looks like it's going to be a kick right on the goal square to be taken by McCann. Fred Cook at the other end of the ground holding his head. I don't know whether it's a headache or he can hear what we're saying. There's McCann now, lining them up right through the middle, a goal for the Bullets. Level pegging here in the VFA Grand Final of the Junction Oval. Frank Vigona. And we've now played 16 minutes, as you saw. Ball down. Tony Abaya comes in, almost a heavy collision there. Look at the players going in. Abaya gets it now. Across to Swan. Short pass by Swan. We'll find Evans. Evans on the almost on the left forward flank position. Another short pass to Doyle. He'll have to hurry. Didn't. He had the ball knocked away from him. And it's Preston now who'll defend. Gets the ball across to the wing position. A handball. Play on, says the umpire. Handball there to Kelly. Kelly will handball across to Austin. He'll have to be quick. Back to Bowden. Knocks it down. Intercepted by Chadban. Handball to Rodder across to Wilkinson. Wilkinson now a short pass. This is good football. Finds Evans on the half-forward flank. Oh, beautiful balk there. Now he lines up the goals, but it's offline. Fred Cook is waiting for it. Positions himself superbly. Well, I've got to say, this is one of the best games of football that I've seen Fred Cook play as regards positioning himself. Well, unfortunately, his kicking is letting him down, but he's positioned himself in front superbly today.
We won't miss this one.
Fred Cook now. Look at that concentration. There's the kick. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Behind. What a bad day Fred Cook is having.
Rex Hunt and myself here was saying he won't miss this one. What do you reckon, Rex?
Oh, no, I didn't say that. You did, Phil. It was your echo.
Dear, oh dear.
I'd prefer you not to say anything more when Fred Cook's kicking for goal.
I'd prefer you not to say anything more when Fred Cooking, when Cookie's kicking for goal.
I'd prefer you not to talk about it. How many behinds is that he's kicked there?
He's kicked 3 behinds and another deliberate shot. He put it out on the full.
All right, well, he's not having the best of days in shooting for goal, so we're waiting on this new ball to come out with Port Melbourne 6-12-48, leading by a point over Preston 7-5-47, and they've been playing 18.5 minutes into the second term.
Phil, this very big crowd here at the Junction Oval must be a big boost of confidence for the VFA.
Well, it'd have to be. They expected 25,000. I think we'll find that the crowd will exceed that today. We have had 31,000 here when we were telecasting a few years ago. I don't think it'll reach that, but I reckon it'll be around about the 28,000. There's Kelly moving in to take the mark. Now Kelly from the half-back line. Bangs it around the wing on the stand side of the ground. Robertson waits for it, and Robertson is the player to come in and pull in the mark for the Burrows. So he now gets the lead from Anderson. Anderson, with Warren coming in a bit late, has taken the mark. Anderson from the centre now looks for the lead, and he's got it from Glyn Evans, and Glyn Evans goes up. Oh, tackle front on by White, and Evans will get the free kick. Shirt-fronted, and he's feeling that one too as he rolls over. He's either feeling it or maybe the umpire leaves him with that free kick. Let's have a look at it happen again. Straight into him, bang. Really a straight left there to go on with. So he's right at the half-forward line as he puts it high in the air. There's 2 players falling back on Cook all the time, and Austin leading Cook from the ball has pulled in the mark. Austin and also Plowman. That seems to be the method of play. 2 players on Cook. Hand pass this time across from Bryan. Ends up back with Bryan. Bryan now with his kick towards centre half forward. Up they fly for it. Comes off the player's hands to Wilkinson. Wilkinson to Swan. Swan from centre half back to centre half forward. Waiting for it this time is Doyle. It comes to Anderson. Anderson now plays it wide. Plowman leading in the race for the ball. Will it elude him as Cook is coming in fast from behind? He grabs Plowman. Plowman has dropped the ball. And I'll tell you what, he looks a bit slow, didn't he? He looked a bit hesitant in going for that ball, Crown.
Oh, it's his first year in VFA, Phil. He's done very well. Even at this stage, Cook's had opportunities, but I think he's doing all right. He did look a bit sluggish then, but it's his first grand final.
He would have looked a little bit ordinary, Harold, if Fred had kicked 4 goals up to this stage of the match.
But he hasn't, though, has he?
No, that's fair comment, but he's had the opportunities.
All right, now Cook coming in. He's put it across the face of the sticks. They rise high for it. And this is a chance now for the players staying down to get it away. And it'll be kicked out on the full by Gordon Tower.
Phil, I've been watching Fred Cook's action. Maybe Rex could join us on this. I've been watching Fred Cook's action, and that moment of impact with the ball, he seems very uneasy, very awkward.
His knees bent and he's not kicking through it. I think Fred ought to pick someone about 30 metres through the goals, Rob. That's the essence of kicking through the ball.
Right, this is the kick coming now from Demetrio. Up towards Cook again. Comes off the hands of the pack to Doyle. He's skied it out on the full again. Well, a bit of negative play at the moment. It looks that way anyway, with the ball going out on the full twice in about 30 seconds. Port Melbourne 6-12-48 and this pressure grand final. Preston 7-5-47. And we're at the 22-minute mark. Well, this will be prime. And Preston certainly not getting it all their own way. As it comes towards Austin, Austin came in behind Chad Band. He's dragged to the ground. And look at them trying to move the ball away from the pack and get it in the open. Carla Van got it out in the open. Rodder gained possession. Wilkinson now. Wilkinson back down here to Dermott. Dermott now with his kick straight into the hands of Shaw. Well, it came off Shaw's chest. Warren moves in. He's tackled by Rodder. Loses possession. Oh, he's a bit slow in trying to get rid of that. Wilkinson to Rodder. Comes back into the hands of Bowden. Bowden now with a pass to Vincent Asante. And he goes down the ground off the side of the boot. And the mark is taken at centre half back for Port Melbourne by Tansis. Tansis now with his kick. He's looking for teammate Demetrio. Austin coming in from behind. Off their hands to Kavanagh. And Kavanagh of Port Melbourne shoots it up on the half-forward line with Gordon Towan coming in to take the mark at the 23-minute mark. Big roost from Towan. High in the air to centre half-forward. Davies waiting behind them here. He's down on the ground. There's a trip, and the umpire has awarded a free kick to Kelly. He was tripped as he came through the pack, and Kelly is within scoring range with this win behind him. Rex.
Yes, he should be able to give it a pretty good sort of a chance from here. Kelly has been very quiet, as mentioned in the commentary, and it's a vital kick, and that's his third kick. It looks pretty good off the boot, but the distance is not there, and it's tapped away by Hall. Player down there holding his head. It looks a little bit like Robertson from here. He's in a little bit of trouble, I think. No trainers coming out as yet, but he's obviously got some obstruction in his eye, as Hall is the player at fullback. And Hall puts the ball back into play, looking for Demetrio. Oh, great mark. Oh, he positioned himself beautifully in front of Carla Van there, used his body well, and the late inclusion, Demetrio has the ball on half-back flank members' side of the ground. There's Austin, ball punched away by Chadban, pretty close to the boundary line, and in fact over the boundary line and out of bounds. Coming up to 24 and a half minutes into this final second term, and Port 6-12-48 are tied with Preston 7-6-48, and Austin got it down. Here comes Bowden, looking for the hand pass, and White wasn't looking, but Olsen was. Olsen kicks it pretty poorly down there, not giving Dintin Asante much chance at all. And Davies sees it go over the boundary line and out of bounds. Been a vital quarter for both sides, and Preston have done it pretty well, but they'd like to be a little bit further ahead. Coming in there is Kavanagh, and he's played very well and sees Wilkinson. Wilkinson accepts the hand pass with glee and puts it up to the centre wing position. Doyle tried to knock it on, but Towan came across and made sure. No mark and no position for Port Melbourne. So once again, another throw-in take place right in front of the interchange area. Austin again in front is the Preston player. Chad Ban behind him for Port Melbourne. Chad Ban working his way in front and does it well, but there's no crumb gatherers there as Towan came through and gave it to Kelly, but Kelly didn't want it. Evans did, and Evans runs away in towards the forward area looking for Cook. Cook's got the set on Plowman. Plowman jostles him out of the way. Cook foxing for a free kick. He's looking in there to try and get it out, but now he's got it. Sees Rodder on his own, but umpire Hodgkin will come in and bounce the ball to true full forward position.
Incidentally, the statewide sprint worth $5,000 to the winner will be on at half-time today here. The statewide sprint with total prize money this year of $9,000. OK, back into the middle of the pack it goes, over the ball, and the umpire watching it closely as Rodder comes out of the pack, shoots the goal, and he's put it through to take Port to 7-12. Right, there's the bounce that comes out and taken by Kavanagh. Kavanagh with his kick up towards the half-forward line. Rodder's got the chance to bear in on it. Bucks is there as well. Bucks taps it back to Mick Warren. Warren now around the boundary line where it eludes Olsen. He battles on, though, down to Carla Van. Van now dodges nicely his corner, but the umpire allows the play to continue. It comes through to Tanses. Tanses is grabbed, but it goes out to the boundary line, and moving in here is Kavanagh. Kavanagh with his kick around the wing. And this is the chance for Port Melbourne to get it into attack again through Demetrio. Demetrio to the half-forward line. Little Labaya now moves in towards Cook. Moving out to the ball is Plowman, but it's forced over the line and out of bounds. The highlight at half-time is the statewide sprint worth $5,000 today to the winner. I'll be going over the 400 metres for sure. And it comes once again. Austin gets the knockout from the ruck. It comes out towards Mick Warren. What centre half back? Look at Chad Van loping in towards the ball. He's halfway there. Between the Preston player, Tinasanto, is 100 metres away. Tinasanto got there first, but it's a pick up by Davies. Davies to Evans. Evans now goes for the hand pass under pressure. Intercepted by Bowden. Bowden now with a kick high in the air towards the wing on the stand side of the ground. Player held here, that was Robertson, but play continues, comes back to Bowden. Nice blind turn by Bowden. He to Tinasanto is grabbed quickly by Robertson, can't break away. All scrambling football at the moment as we see McCann get the hand pass into McKeon. McKeon downfield, veers away from his opponent, and then sees Olsen on his own. Olsen with a long hand pass to Hallis, and look at Hallis do it easy. Austin getting the knockout from the ruck again, down to Shaw. Shaw with a hand pass to Carla Van. Van, look at this roost downfield, a long kick, offline. And out. Both scores on 54. Now, what's been the scoring shots in the game, Ian?
Port Melbourne have had a total of 19 scoring shots, Preston 14.
I'd throw in, about to come in, Rob Asprey.
In the left forward pocket position for Preston. Can they score from here? Levels are scores a dead level at the moment. A very exciting game. Frank Vergana finds a free kick, and it's going to go to the Port Melbourne player Dermott, who's also trying to get a few extra metres, and Frank Vergana says, I'll go along with you on this occasion. Dermott now directing play right out towards the boundary line, very close, and Evans just about grabs it in time. Now grabbing the ball, going forward is White, in towards the full forward position. Players set themselves, Hallis in front, he can't do anything with it. Look at them defending desperately there as Robertson takes the ball out to the other side of the ground. Swan there waiting for it, hotly pursued. He'll take his time now, having a look downfield. There's his kick, sets it up high to the left forward pocket position, almost, forward flank position almost. Doyle is there, throws himself at the ball, gets it out now, but the umpire has decided to give a free kick, and it'll go to Doyle. Doyle right into the forward flank position now. That's Wilkinson taking it. He's under a lot of pressure there with Bucks moving in. Abaya will grab the ball. Almost had his head knocked off. Play on, says the umpire. Kavanagh gets it back to his teammate in Evans. Evans now in towards goal. It's going to be close. The umpire says one behind only. We've now played 5.5 minutes of time on, and the scoreboard reads Port Melbourne 7-13-55, Preston 8-6-54, 1 point the difference.
$5,000 to the winner in the statewide sprint coming up at half-time.
That's Bryan giving the ball to Bucks on the left half-back flank position for Preston, close to the boundary line now. Van moves in, kicks it very high. Not a good kick at all. In fact, it only goes about 4 metres, and it's Bowden now grabbing the ball. He'll get them out of trouble at the moment, although Jim Pilasante is in trouble, has the ball taken off him. That was incredible. Kick there by Robertson, in towards Fred Cook and full forward. There's the siren. It's half-time in the VFA Grand Final.
Half-time, and we'll check the scores in a moment. All players in the Premiership side, 20 of them, will receive a free Aussie pass for anywhere in Australia after today's match. Now let's check off the scores. Port Melbourne 1 point up. Port Melbourne at half-time, 7-13-55, Preston 8-6-54. Stand by for the statewide sprint.
Preston first, Preston possessions 137, 137. Preston kicks 95, 95. Preston marks 30, 30. Preston free kicks 18, 18. Preston handball 42, 42. Port Melbourne possessions, Port Melbourne 140 possessions, 140. Port Melbourne kicks 96, 96. Port Melbourne marks 28, 28. Free kicks 16, handballs 44.
Just repeating now here at half-time, 1 point the difference in the VFA 1982 Grand Final. Port Melbourne 7-13-55, Preston 8-6-54. Harold Martin, the coach of the Coburg side and formerly captain and coach of Preston. Harold, what did you think of it?
Well, you have to admire Port Melbourne's effort in that quarter, Phil. They didn't give in. They put a lot of pressure on Preston, and as Rex said, a quarter time, the game's, you know, very even at this stage, and this vital third quarter is going to tell. There's some many good duels going on in the game. Robinson lifted his game at centre half back on McCann, who had the better of him in the first quarter. Still, the Port Melbourne Rovers are well on top, Ryder, Abaya and Kavanagh. I think this is what's keeping Port Melbourne in the game. Preston's pair at the first year in the VFA, they're doing very well and have done well during the year. Kelly and his co-partner Dinton Cincinnati, but the Port Melbourne's experience is telling at this stage. I think really the result of the game's going to tell whether Port Melbourne, after its hard game last week, can play this game out, but they're certainly doing well at this stage.
All right, let's hear comments now from Rex Hunt.
Just looking at the highlights there, you can see both Port Melbourne and Preston running the ball off their back lines. At this stage, I wouldn't think that Port Melbourne could be more pleased with their performance. The thing about it is, apparently, before their two times that they've played against Preston previously this year, the fact is that they were down by 5 or 6 goals at half-time. They're with them now. They have a real chance, Port Melbourne, and they're playing well and no hangovers from last week.
Well, the thing is, they've got the advantage of the wind here coming up in the third quarter, and I don't think Preston were allowed to take full advantage of it there in the second quarter. We have the $5,000 winner-take-all statewide sprint coming up in a few moments, but Ian, statistics on the game for half-time.
Port Melbourne may suffer later on in the game for their inaccuracy. They've had 6 more scoring shots than Preston and only 1 point up. They've had a total of 20 scoring shots, Preston 14. Preston kick getters, Ray Shaw playing a great captain's coach game with 11 kicks, Olsen 8, Bucks on the back line, 6 kicks, all coming from that quarter, and Austin rucking well and doing well around the ground with 8 kicks. Port Melbourne kick getters include Kavanagh, the biggest kick getter on the ground with 13, Swan 12, Tony Abeya, a great game as a rover with 8 kicks, Wilkinson 8 and Evans 10. And goal kickers for Preston, 2 to Hellas, 1 each to Towan, Olsen and Dintinasante, 1 to McGaw and McCann. And for Port Melbourne, 2 to Abeya and 1 each to Anderson, Tansis, Wilkinson, Evans and Rodder. And team statistics, pretty much the same at quarter time, shows the evenness of the game. Possessions, Preston 137, Port Melbourne 140. Kicks, very even, 95 to 96. Marks, Port Melbourne closed the gap in that quarter and bolstered their strength in the air. 28 marks to Port Melbourne, 30 to Preston. Free kicks still very even, 18 to Preston, 16 to Port Melbourne. And handball, Port Melbourne slightly ahead in that department, 44, Preston 42.
There'll be plenty of tension on the ground at a moment with the players coming, or the runners coming out for the $5,000 statewide sprint. Before we go to John Russell, let's take this break. Now, you've got what's happening at half-time there, haven't you? That's right, yeah. Hey, I'll have one of those. Thanks. Don't get too close to Ian, Audrey, it's pretty randy.